Hello, welcome back to the channel, and we're doing more Vintage Cube Draft. It's been a while. Lorwyn Eclipsed is out. We got some new and exciting things that they've added to the cube, like the elemental incarnations, like Emptiness here, but what do we want to do in this opening? I think there are a few options. There's Gut, which I'm probably going to take. Gut's truly just messed up. It's one of those crazy cards that completely warps the game around itself when you play it. We also have Wooded Foothills and Wasteland as fine picks. I think I'm going to just go ahead and start out with Gut. It's a really, really strong play. I do like being in red. And, I mean, what else do we got? I mean, Gristlebrand, if you wanted to go Reanimator, but I would rather take a enabler rather than a payoff to start. But yeah, I'm going to take Gut. All right. So now what can we follow that up with? There's Bitterbloom Bearer, which is a pretty cool new card from ECL. Flash Flyer, and then it has the Bitter Blossom text. There are a couple of lands. They added some persist combos, so they have Kitchen Finks here, for example, ways to gain infinite life with like the sacrifice themes. There's also Miscalc, Duress, Brain Freeze. I think I'm going to take a Duress. Maybe be nice and proactive and disruptive for the opponent, and then also have the aggressive elements of Gut and other red creatures. And then with black, you get the hand hate and the removal aspects of things. So I think we can take this, wheel either the Bitterbloom Bearer or the Blazemire Verge. There's also a Noble Hierarch. I think that's also a pretty strong play. That's close. I'm feeling a little bit more Rakdos today, so I think we'll go ahead and take that. But I could see the argument to take a Mana Dork, especially if you're trying to play a bunch of good 3-drops. But now that we're here, I think I will take a Verdant Catacombs, just stay open. Maybe we can wheel this Marionette Apprentice. This acts as a Blood Artist effect for the Sacrifice deck. There's also Toxic Deluge. Not really any red cards. There's a Detective's Phoenix and an Arena of Glory. Those cards are fine. I think the best card in the pack is probably just like Stock Up. Stock Up's really, really good. Really good piece of card advantage that they've printed in a recent standard set, which is crazy. And Nissa's a pretty good green card. I mean, we're just going to take the Verdant Catacombs and stay open here. All right. I think I'll just go ahead and keep that train going, take a Bloodstained Mire, because nothing here is a really, really huge standout. I could have had 2 Mana Dorks, I guess, if I had taken the Noble Hierarch. There's also Undercity Sewers, Demonic Tutor, Leovold, Palantir. I think these are all fine, but nothing so good that I want it over just another fetch land. Fetch lands are good. Okay. Now, maybe I just take a Raucous Theater if I'm going to be in this Rakdos space. I also like Greater Gargadon as a sacrifice enabler for this deck, for this archetype, but I think this can wheel. Pretty sure this can wheel. So I think we're just going to go ahead and take the Raucous Theater here and be happy about it. Okay, well, if I am going to get into this archetype, I do like the Obsessive Pursuit, I think. Gives you a free clue every turn at the cost of 1 life, and then whenever you attack, you put X counters on target attacking creature, where X is the number of permanents you've sacked this turn. And if you sack 3 or more, the creature gains lifelink. Other than that, we have Retrofitter Foundry, and this Alpha Deathclaw, pretty cool, like a Golgari mid-range card that's also a fine target for reanimation. But it's also like a 6-mana 6/6, so you can easily cast it, and it just blows up anything. I'm going to spec on this Obsessive Pursuit. All right. That's kind of a late Nadu. There's Dam, Gao, Unearth, Walking Ballista. I think I'll take a Bayou here to stay open. Maybe it could be like some sort of Jund sacrifice deck. I like it. Okay, now we got some options. So there's Bloodcrypt, Bloodbraid Challenger, and Goblin Bombardment 2 if I am going to be in the sacrifice deck. Bloodbraid Challenger is just a really good mid-range card though, and then you can like cascade into basically anything. These are all very good options. I don't know how open the sacrifice archetype's going to be. Maybe I can just be like a Jund mid-range pile. I'll take a Bloodbraid Challenger here. All right, what did we wheel? So I wheeled the Ziator's Proving Ground. I think I like that. There's also this Bristlebane Battler, just a thing that can get pretty big in a hurry if you play a lot of creatures, maybe creature tokens. Tarmogoyf and Endurance would also be fine, but I like taking the Perfect Triumph for what we've got going on so far. All right, I did in fact wheel both the Bitterbloom Bear and the Blazemire Verge. Now, the question is, which one would I rather have? I think Bitterbloom Bear can be pretty strong, like a pretty good turn 2 play, and it gives you bodies to sacrifice if we are going to go that route. Blazemire Verge is fine, but we already have some pretty good fixing, so I think I'm going to start taking more playables. All right, I wheeled the Marionette Apprentice, which is huge. I think this is going to be great. Now we just need the sacrifice outlets, or enable, sacrifice outlets. All right, I'll take a Palantir here. Nothing super crazy, but it's just a fine thing to do on turn 3. It gives you some value. Zeranorb is technically a sack outlet, but I don't think that's what I want in this archetype. Greater Gargadon wheeled. Okay, we are in. We are sacking things. Very exciting. All right. Okay, Oath of Druids, second to last pick, and a Town Greeter. Probably not what we're doing. All right. All right, this is looking pretty good so far. Now, what do we want to do? So there's no power in this pack either, but we do have Hogak, Emperor Bones, Meathook Massacre. So Hogak's a pretty good card, right? But we're not really filling the graveyard necessarily. I guess we could be maybe a black-green base and play like Town Greeter. I think this card is pretty strong. But what would be better for us? I mean, there's a Seer. Seer is just like a fine removal spell. Meathook Massacre could be good as a way to clear the board, do a lot of ping damage, sort of an aristocrat style. Tarsa is fine. It's probably between Emperor Bones and Seer for me. I think I'm going to take the Seer. I mean, I don't really have any decent removal spells at the moment, and this is just like 2 mana deal for instant speed is not bad. Kills a lot of things in the format. All right. Now I think I'll take a Fire Covenant. Now our matchup against small creature decks gets a lot better. And I'm not really seeing too much else as far as the sack archetype goes. Voldaren Epicure is fine. Titania could possibly wheel. This can get back our fetch lands and then start making a bunch of 5/3s. And not really too much else here. I think Fire Covenant's very strong. Okay, so now we have Warren Soul Trader is interesting. You can pay 1 life, sack a creature to create a treasure. This does go infinite with, I forget what it's called, the 1 mana 2/1 zombie that you can cast from the graveyard if you control a zombie, which the Warren Soul Trader is. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take a Marsh Flats. It makes our mana a little better. I think the Warren Soul Trader can wheel. Plus, any things that we sacrifice, even lands, are going to help with the Obsessive Pursuit, for example. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and take that, try to wheel the Soul Trader here. Okay. There's maybe a couple of options here. Actually, there is a Taiga. Taiga helps with the fixing. There's Desecrex and Blazing Rootwalla for the discard archetype. that's not necessarily what we're going for here. I'm wondering how much you can have a hybrid of the sacrifice and the discard outlet things. But in any case, I think Taiga's really good. 6 is very strong as well. Let's shore up the fixing. Now we have really good Jund fixing, and I think we should be good there. There is a carry-on feeder here, another free sack outlet. So you can sack things to put counters on this. Pretty good with the Bitterbloom Bearer. I think that is where I want to go. Jite is very, very strong, and it actually gets worn pretty well by the Bitterbloom Bearer tokens. You know what? I think I'm going to take the Jite and then try to wheel the Carrion Feeder. The Carrion Feeder is going to be pretty good for this archetype, though. So this is a little bit of a risk, but it's one I'm willing to make. I think the Jite is very strong. Ooh, there's Sephiroth. Sephiroth is really good here. It's a Blood Artist effect that also just gives you value when you play it. Like, imagine you go Bitterbloom Bearer on turn 2, and then on turn 3, you make the guy, and you Sephiroth and sack it, drain, draw a card, and then every turn after you can sacrifice the new token. So I do like that. Other than that, we have the Bone Crusher Giant and the Grease Wrench Goblin, which are both okay. Definitely going to take Sephiroth here. All right. Oh, there's Mayhem Devil. Okay, that is awesome. We are so in. We are so into the sacrifice archetype. We're a little bit choked up on the 3s, so I'm going to be looking for some acceleration. I mean, Moxen would be obviously great, but got to get lucky with that. But in any case, now our sacrifice plan is in full force. Okay, here I think I will just take a Flame Slash. Hyper efficient removal is good to stay alive, so we can get our engines set up. I do like Esika's Chariot, though. I think this card is excellent, and we are splashing green pretty easily. That is close, honestly. Esika's Chariot's really quite strong, but I think there are other 4-mana plays that I'm going to want, stuff like Yawgmoth or Shieldred or something like that. I like taking the Flame Slash here. That one was close, I will admit. Okay, we wield the Meat Hook Massacre. I think that works out very nicely in this deck. Stave off the small creature decks, and then every time we do our Aristocrat sack stuff, we are further draining our opponent even more so than we already were doing. So you can easily get the quick kills. Hogak would be cool too, but I think Meat Hook Massacre fits really nicely. Okay, I could take a Commercial District, but we already have a Raucous Theater, so it's a little less necessary. Maybe Fire Blast for the sideboard. Vengevine 2, if we wanted to do that. But we're not really discarding cards. I think I'm actually going to take the Voldaren Epicure. It gives us 2 bodies to sacrifice to the Greater Gargadon. And then the, what's it called? The blood token just sacks itself, which is really nice for stuff like Mayhem Devil and Obsessive Pursuit. All right, Warren Soul Trader Wield. Love that. So we're going to be looking for the combo there. All right, we wield Desecrex and Rootwalla. I guess I'll take the Desecrex. Carrion Feeder Wield. Perfect. The plan is working. We are so in. Grease Wrench Goblin, second to last pick. It's not even that bad. Boseiju, you know what? That's a utility land I'm happy to get last pick for sure. Boseiju is really pretty versatile, very strong card. Okay, now what do we get? So there's Jadar, which is a pretty good enabler for the sacrifice archetype because it makes a body every turn. We have a Mishra's Bauble, which gets a little bit of extra value here because it just is an artifact that sacrifices itself for value. There's an Underground Mortuary for more fixing, but again, our fixing's pretty good, so I don't need to worry about that as much. Ancient Tomb, is this an Ancient Tomb deck? We can cast Gut, Sephiroth, Warren Soul Trader a little bit ahead of schedule, or a Bloodbraid Challenger. I guess that's fine. right? There's also Fiery Confluence too. So this could be a situation where I take something else and then wheel Jadar, because we got the Carrion Feeder on the wheel, which was nice. I feel like Jadar, it's in a similar boat where it's going to be fine in this deck, like pretty good, but it's going to, no one else is really going to want this. I think I want the Fiery Confluence. We're basically a burn deck at this point. Ooh, Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth works out really nicely here. Really good with the Bitterbloom Bearer tokens and whatnot. There's also another Goyf, which is a really nice 1-mana play. This could be the situation where you take Nether Goyf, wheel the Yawgmoth, but I think I'm going to want this a little bit more. We definitely need a little bit more creatures in this deck, but I think we can get there. I'm going to go ahead and take Yawg, and yeah, it seems good. Okay, there's a Bloodghast. Bloodghast, I think, is really nice here as a recursive threat, and you can also get it multiple times per turn with fetch lands, of which we have 3. So you can have like Yawgmoth, sack Bloodghast, play fetch land, get it back, sack it again, crack the fetch, it comes back. So that is going to be pretty nice for this deck for sure. Smuggler's Copter, Liliana, they're fine too. Spyro as well, Seasoned Pyromancer. I think Bloodghast just fits this deck a little too perfectly. All right, I do love Mia K Command. I think that card's excellent. There's also a Magda, which it's not only a creature that can be sacrificed, but it also creates treasure tokens, which can also then be sacrificed. So I think I'll take Magda, try to wheel Kolaghan's Command. Ursine Monstrosity is a good backup plan. It just like kills people. Like this thing is so threatening. It's ridiculous. I'm going to take Magda here. Okay, ooh, Moonshadow. New card from ECL. 1 mana, 7/7 menace, but it enters with 6 -1/-1 counters on it. But whenever one or more permanent cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you remove a counter. So that works with the fetch lands, it works with the clue tokens, it works when we sacrifice creatures. It notably does not work with tokens because it says permanent cards. So it doesn't work with the Bitterbloom Bearer tokens or treasure tokens, but overall I still think this card is extremely strong. I think we can wheel Spiked Corridor and Torture Pit. I think this card is also really good for sacrifice deck. And we're doing quite a lot of ping damage. So if you just play Torture Pit, then your Mayhem Devil pings for like 3 damage, which is crazy. Moonshadow seems great here. Okay. I guess I take a Cut Down. Just another piece of cheap removal. Can hit quite a lot of cards in the format. Lutri would be fine just as a quote-unquote 8th card in the hand. And, you know, if you somehow get up to 7 mana, you can go Lutri plus Fiery Confluence. That sounds pretty good. Other than that, we have a Celeste, which is kind of good for the discard archetype, but I think Cut Down is pretty versatile here. All right, there's a Phyrexian Tower, which you can sack creatures to add mana. That seems good, a good way to, you know, cheat ahead on mana cost. There's also Generous Plunderer, Blood Tithe Harvester. I think Blood Tithe Harvester fits the deck really nicely. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and nab that here. Phyrexian Tower, I mean, there's only 9 cards. I highly doubt this will be the last card. It'll probably be like, I don't know, Oculus or Vibrance or something. But yeah, I'm going to take the Blood Tithe Harvester. Ooh, Grist, Bitter Blossom, Embereth Shieldbreaker. Would be nice to have a little bit of artifact hate, but we already have the Fiery Confluence, so maybe that's not necessary. Grist is really strong. I kind of like Bitter Blossom. Played this on turn 2, and then it gives you the repeatable bodies. I mean, so does Grist. I guess that's kind of the thing there. Not sure which one I want more. Grist is the more powerful card. Bitter Blossom is the cheaper play. It's close. I'm going to take the Grist because I think we're cutting some of these 3-drops anyway. Okay, and we wheel the Jadar just like we dreamed up. That's perfect. Get in the deck. Nethergoyf wheeled? I did not expect that. That's awesome. Okay, and I forget, we were trying to wheel something else from this pack, but not sure. I guess we take Spyro. I don't think I need it necessarily. K-Command wheeled. That's great. Super nice. Oliphant, that's nice as a piece of fixing. All right, and I don't think we're getting much on the last couple of picks here. So, what are we cutting? We need to make a lot of cuts because we have 38 cards. Gross. So, yeah, we need to make like 7 cuts or something like that. Something ridiculous. All right. Well, how do we go about this? I think we can cut Warren Soul Trader because we didn't find the combo. Palantir is fine, but maybe not necessary. Whoa, Phyrexian Tower last pick? That's awesome. Okay. Well, that really ties the room together, especially now that we have the Bitterbloom Bear, Grist. We have all of these ways to make repeatable bodies to sacrifice. All right. So, yeah, we really need to make a lot of cuts. All right. So let's get these all out of here. Let's get this down to 17. So I need 5 cuts. Bloodbraid Challenger. How good is Bloodbraid Challenger? I mean, it's pretty nice. You can hit quite a lot of things. So what? Maybe we don't need the cut down in the main deck. We have quite a lot of ways to deal with creatures. So I could just bring this in if I see, like if I'm playing as like Boros aggro, then I could see bringing this in. All right, I think the Bloodghast is strong. Maybe I don't need the Seer then also for that reason. Like we have Flame Slash, we have Fire Covenant, Fiery Confluence, Kolagon's Command. Yeah, I guess we can get rid of the Seer. Is this a Jite deck? I think so. We're making quite a lot of creatures, and those creatures can get in. Like, we have evasive creatures too. We have Bitterbloom Bear tokens that you can slap a Jite onto and go to town. Gosh, so what are we cutting? I like the green splash, and our green fixing is really good. Like we have 3 fetch lands, Bayou, and the Zayator's Proving Ground. So it's not a high cost at all to run these cards. And Grist is a nice way to kill opposing planeswalkers. That's something that's a little bit unique. Bloodbraid Challenger 2, just a really nice 2-for-1 that you can get repeatedly with the escape. So what the heck do I cut? Is it like Magda? I don't know about that. Let's sort by creatures. Group creatures separately. So what are we absolutely not cutting? We're not cutting our sack outlets like Yogg or Carrion Feeder. I think we would like those as free sack outlets. We're also already not playing Warren Soul Trader, so I like that. Moonshadow is an excellent 1-drop. I guess I can cut the Voldaren Epicure. And let's see, we need 2 more cuts now. Do I need Duress in the main deck? Maybe not. How good is Obsessive Pursuit? Obsessive Pursuit's pretty good. I think this is a good way to actually grow our creatures past a certain size and start gaining life, which this deck doesn't necessarily do except for the Meathook Massacre. And we are pinging ourselves quite a bit. We got the Obsessive Pursuit, we got Yawgmoth, and Bitterbloom Bearer. So there's a lot of incidental ping in this deck. So if you don't have something like a Sephiroth out, then being able to sack a few things is pretty easy, and then Obsessive Pursuit can get a big life swing and also make your creatures huge. I guess technically, Oliphant can count as a land, right? So I actually only need 1 more cut. I think we're going to try to go really big on the combo, not combo, but just really synergistic game 1. So maybe we don't need Duress necessarily. I like everything else as pretty versatile or contributing to the game plan. Duress can come in against maybe combo decks. So Let's go ahead and combine these groups. Let's add in the lands, and let's figure out our split here. So we definitely don't need to play any forests. Okay, so let's see what happens if we do it like this. So for red sources, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, only 9. That's fine. Oh, I guess 10 with the Oliphant. And then for black, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That actually seems fine. Yeah, I think this split is pretty good. This deck looks awesome, and I will see you for the games. All right, we're here for game 1 against Mr. Kemosabe. I feel like this is maybe it's a reference to something, I just don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go first. And our hand looks pretty decent, so I'll go ahead and keep this. And I'm going to start with the Bloodstained Mire, probably go for a Surveil. I don't currently have any of either of my green cards in hand, so I think I value the Surveil a little bit more than the Triome at this point in the game. Hopefully, I'm going to draw Grist off the top and regret it, but in any case, then we're going to go Bitterbloom Bearer on the following turn, or Magda. We'll figure it out. Okay, Ocelot Pride from the opponent. That's a little scary, but not something we can't deal with. Yeah, let's go for Raucous Theater here. Of course, there's a Grist on top. I think we don't necessarily... Actually, we have the Magda. Like, what's our play pattern here, right? I think it's going to be maybe like Magda into Mayhem Devil. I think I'll keep the Grist. I think this is going to be good in the late game after we clear the board. So we're going to go Swamp, and you could go Bitterbloom Bearer here, but I really want to be able to make a treasure token right now with Magda. And like, they're incentivized to just attack me. They don't have to use a removal spell on Magda in order to get in with the Ocelot Pride. And if I make a treasure, then I can play a Mayhem Devil, crack the treasure, and kill the Ocelot Pride. So I think that's going to be my game plan. Also, you know, if worse comes to worse, I can just Meat Hook Massacre for X's 1, right? So not the end of the world here, no matter what. Oh boy, we got a Boros player with a Mana Crypt. That's pretty good. Portable Hole on my Magda is a little sad. And then what are we following it up with? Tursa. Jeez. Yeah, opponent's deck is completely ridiculously insane. This is going to be really hard. Meat Hook Massacre could get in there for a big hit, though. Kill off the Ocelot Pride. I don't know. It's probably better than just like slamming a Mayhem Devil. We'll see, though. I don't really have my sack outlets enabled here. Maybe keeping the Grist on top was a mistake. Did opponent not discard anything? Their hand is just gas then. All right. Could really use something huge here. I really want... Flame Slash would be a good draw. Moonshadow. Moonshadow's not bad. However, Moonshadow I cannot Moonshadow and play something else. So now the question is, do I need to Meat Hook Massacre for 1 here? Actually, you know what? Let's go Mayhem Devil. The longer I wait on this Meat Hook Massacre, the better it becomes with what my opponent has going on. I am willing to have this Mayhem Devil trade with the Tursa. Okay. Wow, Dragon's Rage Channeler into an Unexpectedly Absent. So that goes beneath the bottom couple of cards in my deck. Not a fan of that. I would really like a land here. Come on, land. Because Then, if we don't draw land next turn, oh, it's GT. All right, I'm just gonna have to fire off this Meat Hook Massacre, kill off everything except for the Tursa, which is pretty annoying, honestly. But this should hopefully slow my opponent down. It also gains me a bunch of life, which is nice. So I go back up to 15. And then Tursa is going to hit me down to 12. And then on the following turn, I guess they did it X equals 2 for unexpectedly absent. So that means I am not drawing the Mayhem Devil on this particular turn. Unfortunately, we cannot go Bitterbloom Bearer plus Moonshadow next turn, but I could go Moonshadow GT and then try to get GT going. GT is a good way to win games. All right, so we go to 12. Oh no, opponent went Spiked Corridor to make 3 1/1 red devils. Ooh, there's a Phyrexian Tower, so that's not terrible. All right, let's go Phyrexian Tower. All right, how do I want to do this? I mean, it's still probably just Moonshadow GT. I could go Moonshadow, sack Moonshadow for Bitterbloom Bearer, and then GT as well. But I don't know, that does not seem like a great strategy. I think, yeah, let's just be mana efficient, I think. We'll go GT. And then Bitterbloom Bearer on the following turn. We can start doing some pretty messed up stuff next turn, I think, because we know that we're drawing the Mayhem Devil. The problem is this Torture Pit is going to deal a ton of damage to us when these Devil tokens die. This is only non-combat damage to opponents. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of how much damage this is. Hopefully GT can just start soloing them. All right, we'll go ahead and take 6 damage here. Opponent is threatening a ton here. All right, we're going to flash in Bitterbloom Bearer. All right, let's make our guy. We draw Mayhem Devil. We knew this. So we could go Moonshadow, Mayhem Devil. No, we can't do everything, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana to play with. Could sack the flyer. It's probably just better, honestly, to go for... Because, okay, here's the problem, right? I don't want to kill off these devils because then they'll kill off my Bitterbloom Bearer. Alright, so how do we do this? Maybe it's still just Mayhem Devil, sack the fairy, and then GT onto the Bitterbloom Bearer, and then we'll just deal the 1 to their face, I guess? That is a lot of damage. Sure. So we'll go in Mayhem Devil. We basically just need to gain a bunch of life. All right. Now we'll sacrifice Fairy. We'll deal 1 to them. They also lose 1 with Meat Hook Massacre. Then I'll use the 2 mana, equip GT to the Bitterbloom Bearer, and then attack. Let's see if they have a removal spell here. Looks like they do. Unfortunate. So now I'm basically just forced to block with Mayhem Devil on the Tursa, and I lost Bitterbloom Bearer. Yeah, that didn't go as well as I had hoped. Yeah, they're going to attack with everything. I'm forced to block. All right. So I do go up to 3. There's Carrion Feeder, I suppose. So we'll go Moonshadow. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and... Actually, I like going... Let's go Carrion Feeder. Sacrifice it to add mana, which triggers Moonshadow too. And then use that to equip Jite. Now it's a little bit stronger. Am I dead? How does this work? Did they activate Torture Pit? They did. Oh, wait. That means the Devil tokens deal 3 damage to me. Right? It depends on when I get the counters. It's like active player, non-active player. So, I think... I don't know. We don't really have a choice. We're just going to see if it works. I think it works in my favor. Let's find out. Okay. Yeah, whose triggered abilities go first? Okay. So I gain a life. Okay, cool. My triggers do go on first. That's awesome. So put 2 counters. I gain a life. This is dealing 1, but it's really dealing 3 to me. Wait, plus 2, right? So that means I need to gain life. Technically now this is not death. So I believe I'm supposed to take this. Go to 1. Because I still need to try to just kill my opponent. Is it just going to be Bone Crusher Giant? That's just Bone Crusher Giant. Okay. All right. Go to our turn. We need a big draw here. Mountain, probably not going to do it. Probably not going to do it. So I can gain 6 life, which is actually good enough to survive. It's kind of awesome. All right. Let's get in there with Moonshadow. It has Menace, so they can't block. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, man, I really needed like a forest or something for this grist. Oh boy. Man, there are so many cards that just kind of end the game from my opponent. My opponent's at 5. My opponent is at 5. Because right now I can gain 6 life, go to 7. All right, they're coming in. I need to gain 7 life. Or 6 life, rather. And then I go to 1. Okay, I go to 1 again. They have nothing. Okay, I really need a big draw step here. That is a swamp. Oh boy. All right. Okay, we're just going to have to... We have to attack. And then they could die to their mana crypt here. So we have a pretty decent shot. All right. Is there anything we can do to make it so... Is there anything we can do here? If our creatures die, they lose 1 life, but we can only kill our own thing once. That's so unfortunate. We just have to hope that they die of their mana crypt. Literal 50% chance. Come on. Oh my god. All right, cool. That was really silly. What a silly game that was. Pretty scary though with the torture pit. I mean, an opponent didn't have anything to like sacrifice these devils. I feel like I got away with something that game. Jite is so good, as always. All right, against the cheap creature deck, we are 100% bringing in the Cut Down and the Seer. So we're going to bring those in, maybe take away some of the more clunky cards like Grist and what? Maybe Obsessive Pursuit. Obsessive Pursuit can get the life swing back in our favor. But the problem is that it costs you a lot of life and you don't have the time to like crack the clues as resources. So I think I'm going to be fine with what I have here. And plus I have Sephiroth and the, where did it go? The Meat Hook Massacre to gain life. All right, let's go back. All right, I think this hand is okay. It's lacking removal, but it does have the Bitterbloom Bearer plus Yawgmoth combo as a way to control my opponent's board. Ooh, Fire Covenant, that's nice. So turn 2 Bitterbloom Bearer, turn 3 Fire Covenant. I think we're going to be fairly safe overall. Our life total is going to be pretty low. That's a gut. I do like that too. That's probably a better turn 3 play. Very aggressive. Like attack with Bitterbloom Bearer, turn the fairy into a 4/1 that's also attacking. So it depends, of course, on what my opponent does. Voice of Victory is a pretty good magic card. But I think we're... Oh, wait. I can't cast spells during their turn. Yeah, I'm forced to Bitterbloom Bearer immediately. That sucks. Yeah, I can't flash it in on end step. So if opponent has a sorcery speed removal spell, this is the ultimate time to use the Bitterbloom Bearer. I think it's fine overall if they do that. Because maybe they do that, develop 1 or 2 more creatures, and then just Fire Covenant. Oh god, wait. Hexing Squelcher. That's pretty rough. Not gonna lie. Because now all their stuff costs so much to... And an Ocelot Pride. Oh god. That is so much. Do I just have to bite the bullet now? I think the answer is yes. How much is this going to cost me? 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 6. So 12. I go to 4. I go to 4. Oh my god. That's so rough. This Hexing Squelcher made things so awkward. I could kill just the Squelcher, but that cost me 4 life. I should probably kill the Ocelot. I mean, if I'm going to kill stuff, I need to kill everything. The problem is I'm not gaining life. And then this Bitterbloom Bearer will eventually kind of just kill me. I mean, I guess I could also block. I don't need to attack. I do have Gut here, but the problem with Gut is that the 4/1 just gets blocked by Ocelot Pride because of the first strike. So I think what I'm going to do actually is go Marionette Apprentice and actually put the counter on it, because now this blocks the Hexing Squelcher pretty well. Bitterbloom Bearer, I think I'm going to hold back. I'm probably going to use it to block. If I can get rid of the Hexing Squelcher, then my Fire Covenant gets better, my Yawgmoth gets better, and we can start to take over. But right now the Hexing Squelcher just makes it so everything costs way too much life. And I can't afford to take that much. And I don't have my life gain pieces. Unexpectedly absent on the Marionette Apprentice for X is 0, so that means I know I'm drawing it. Robber of the Rich. Oh boy. This is a lot of damage, and I believe they're going to get the City's Blessing 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they get the City's Blessing. That's insane. They take my Marionette Apprentice away. I am forced to block the Hexing Squelcher to have any reasonable chance of winning this game. Okay, I go to 10. Let's see if opponent knows how to stack the triggers. Nope. Yes. Yes, they did. Oh no, this is bad. Yep, so they made 2 cats, 2 warriors. Probably just dead here. I mean, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to kill everything. I kind of want to play Nethergoyf 2. Let's see what happens when I do that. Let's get Swamp. play Nethergoyf. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, I go to 3. 7, I go to 2. I guess it's just literal death no matter what, unfortunately. Man, the Hexing Squelcher just completely ruined things there. All right, let's see if we can get there. I mean, I don't think I want to make any changes. I'm just going to run it back, try to kill their early stuff, and then try not to take too much life. All right, let's see if we have a good opening hand. Oh, this is pretty good. Yeah, let's go ahead and keep. Turn 1, Moonshadow. Turn 2, Crack Fetch. Grow the Moonshadow. Play a Magda. Seems good to me. We also could go Nethergoyf, but I'd rather not. I mean, Moonshadow plus Magda, that's a really nice combo, too. All right, start with the Moonshadow. Then next turn, we can go Magda. Seems good. What do we got? Ocelot Pride? Prismatic Ending, that's fair. Fire Covenant. All right, let's go Verdant into Taiga. Play out Magda. Pretty good turn 2 play. I do have Fire Covenant to help deal with nonsense from the opponent. Let's see. Next turn, we're going to have potentially 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So we have a lot of options. What do we got? Voice of Victory. That's fine. Probably just going to murder that. Ooh, Jadar. Jadar's nice. All right. So for Rexian Tower, I think I'm just going to Fire Covenant and treat this as like a, 1-for-1 removal spell. It's not the best usage of it, but I think it's the most appropriate at this time. So we'll go ahead and kill this. Attack for 2. Make a treasure. And do I want to play out the Nethergoyf? I think the answer is yes. Hopefully I draw a land next turn. I can play and equip Jite and start doing some major damage. Like, Jite will just single-handedly win me this game. In this particular matchup. Ajani. Okay. That's fine. Land would be super hot. Mayhem Devil. That's a good setup card. Actually, that could be a way to force the Ajani to flip. But I don't really want that, right? Yeah, this could just be a setup turn. So yeah, let's go for Mayhem Devil now. And then on the following turn, yeah, I can't really attack. Because if I attack with both, they just block with Cat, flip Ajani. And then they just, they keep making 2-1s. Nah, that's not the move. Ajani's really good. Let's see if they have some sort of bombardment. Well, if they have Goblin Bombardment, Hexing Squelcher. Okay, mildly annoying, but not the end of the world at this time. The Hexing Squelcher's, that's so rough. All right, how are we doing this? I think I just need to have another setup turn, to be honest. So we're going to play this Proving Ground. And then I'm going to go Jadar. Probably just going to have to wait on the Jite. I still don't really have great attacks. I just don't want them to flip Ajani. Technically, I could kill Ajani, but yeah, that's not necessary. Because what I could do is use Phyrexian Tower to sack, and then Magda attack, make treasure, use the treasure, and then kill Ajani. But that is a lot of life loss that has to happen because of that. So I'd rather wait. Like, opponent doesn't have good attacks on me either, right? Hexing Squelcher just makes things so much more awkward here. But the Jite is very strong. Ooh, are they stuck on 2 lands? All right, that's huge. Okay, go to our turn. Cut down is awesome. That was such a good draw. So let's go ahead and start with that. So cut down on this Squelcher. I will pay the ward eventually. Okay, Squelcher down. So now we'll sacrifice the zombie token, deal 1 damage to Ajani. Okay, they're going to Path to Exile my Mayhem Devil. That's fine. I'll just go ahead and grab a Swamp. Okay, so 1 damage dealt to Ajani. I'll play Jite. Equip Jite to the, I suppose, the Nethergoyf. Okay, so if I attack with Nethergoyf and they block with the cat, the 2 triggers will go on the stack. Mine goes on the stack first. Theirs resolves first. So they do actually get to flip the Ajani. Now the question is, do I care? Right? I think the answer at this point is no. Like, the Jite is just going to do a lot of work here. So I think we get in with the Nethergoyf. Because even if they make a body every turn, I can pressure the Planeswalker. I just want to go ahead and get my Jite counters going. Yeah, like, this is totally fine. I don't really care about this at all. I have 2 Jite counters. This is awesome. The big thing is that my opponent is stuck on lands. But now I just have this instant speed way to constantly interact with them for like the rest of the game. Okay, opponent did find their 3rd land, so I imagine their hand is pretty good. I'm wondering what the worst case scenario is if they, play a 3-drop. Like, what could it be? It could be a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It could be a Gut. It could be a whole lot of things. Everything I can think of, yeah, it's an X2. So that just dies to the robber. Or, sorry, that just dies to the Jite. Okay, so they're going to make, here's what's going to happen. They're going to make a thing. And then with this trigger on the stack, I can go ahead and kill the Robber of the Rich. And now because they don't have a red permanent anymore, Ajani will no longer deal any damage. Yep, perfect. Because, yeah, it's that, what is it, intervening if clause or something? When you do, if you control a red permanent other than Ajani. So it checks on resolution as well. So, yeah, we are, like, totally good here. Wow, that is a Greater Gargadon. That's pretty nice. So I think we can just swing out at probably Ajani. We'll keep the Jadar back. So let's start with a suspend of Greater Gargadon and then go to combat. We can attack. I think we should attack everything at Ajani, honestly, except for Jadar. This guarantees that Ajani dies, and I get to keep Jadar going. I don't like losing my Magda, though, which is what's going to happen here. But I think that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. So, make a treasure. Yep, that was always happening. Sure. So, Ajani dies. I get triggers. I'm gonna use the Greater Gargadon now to sacrifice the zombie. All right. And then I make another one. All right, now we are in complete control of this game, all because of GT. Portable hole. Well, that's going to take my GT. I do have ways to get it back, so I'm not going to sack it to the Greater Gargadon yet. Actually, wait a minute. This is 9, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the 9th one comes off. This is 9 plus 3. Well, hold on. We're always going to gain 4 life here. Trying to think if it's worth it to sacrifice. I think if I draw K command, I'm really going to hope to have this GT, so sure, they can have that. That is totally fine. All right, what would be a good draw here? Probably like Yawgmoth or something. Ooh, Meathook Massacre. I like that. So that can be a good way to close out the game if things get out of hand. But in any case, we are going to attack for a bunch. They go to 12. So now we're getting to the point where the Greater Gargadon can become lethal. I also completely forgot to sacrifice the token. Definitely my bad there. But I don't think it'll matter too much. We're pretty far ahead. If that one counter ends up mattering, then yeah, that's going to be a little annoying, but looks like it's not actually going to matter. Oh, gut. Oh man, that's probably just the game right there. Probably just the game. So we'll go gut, combat, attack with everything, trigger, sacrifice this treasure. This is 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 10. They go to 2. This dies. And then Meathook Massacre is whenever a creature I control dies, each opponent loses 1. So we're just going to do this for 0. And then use this to sacrifice a couple of creatures and trigger the Meathook Massacre a couple of times, and that'll just be it. So, yeah, I was able to beat my opponent's onslaught of 2 drops with a little cheap removal spells and Umezawa's GT especially, and get the match win. Awesome. We are 1-0. See you for the next. All right, we're here for round 2 against Undi, and we won the die roll, which is nice. And this hand has 6 lands in it and a Magda. Probably not good enough on average. This hand has a lot more stuff, so we will keep. What are we pitching? That is the real question. I think it's wow. This hand is great. Like, I don't want to pitch anything. I mean, I could just pitch the Flame Slash, but I don't want to lose to just some random, crazy whatever the heck on turn 1. Could be Carrion Feeder, but Carrion Feeder and Mayhem Devil is just so good. And then Carrion Feeder plus Bitterbloom Bearer, that is a nice combo with a Mayhem Devil. Maybe we can get rid of Flame Slash, actually. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just start with Carrion Feeder. You can get Bayou. And then maybe in the next turn we can go Magda here, or we can go Bitterbloom Bear. The problem is I don't have a black-red fetchable land. So hopefully I draw one. Fire Covenant. All right. Let's just attack for 1. We'll go Magda here. So unfortunately that means I have to get the Taiga. But then next turn, if they don't kill Magda, I can make Treasure. Okay, blue-red for EI. That's totally acceptable. Like, this is the problem with playing this card on turn 2, is now my opponent can't play a land drop. So, unless they have zeros in the deck, maybe a Mox or a Bobble, Okay, Flame Slash. Yeah, they can't even play that. Like, that would have been really good for them here, but they just can't. I feel like you're supposed to usually wait until turn 3 or later in the game, unless you have zeros in your deck, like I said. Okay, go to our turn. We'll attack. All right, I think what I'm going to do is go Greater Gargadon, Suspend, and then flash in Bitterbloom Bearer. I could have just slammed the Mayhem Devil, but I think the Bitterbloom Bearer is going to allow me to do a little bit more on average here. Lockmare, good card, pretty nice. All right, let's flash this in end of turn. This is just a 1/2 right now, so nothing too crazy. Okay, they have a lightning bolt. They're going to discharge. So I can either sack it to the Carrion Feeder or to the Greater Gargadon. Let's sack it to the Carrion Feeder. Just because now this can get in past the Lockmare. All right, go to our turn. Yawgmoth, not bad. Although we just need lands, really. Get in with Magda. They're not incentivized to block Magda. Maybe they are. Okay. Sure, that's fine. Do I really want to Mayhem Devil here? Or do I just want to wait? I think I'll take the risk. His opponent doesn't seem to have too much going on. And if I draw a land, Fire Covenant can pretty much deal with anything. Relic of Sauron. Okay. So opponent's going pretty big here. Imperial Seal. That's scary. I need to try to kill my opponent as fast as possible. So Greater Gargadon cannot currently come down. Okay, land is helpful because now at least I can Fire Covenant stuff away. They go to 7. All right, they tutored for literally any card in their deck, so it better be good. Lotus Petal, that's funny if they sack it. Underworld Breach, okay. Let's see what happens. Do you have Brain Freeze? If they have Brain Freeze, it's pretty much it. However, the Lotus Petal sack does allow me to get multiple pings off of the Mayhem Devil. Plus, with Greater Gargadon, I can just sacrifice 5 things. So they're actually kind of just dead if they sacrifice one more thing. Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent. So yeah, I think this sees itself. So worst case scenario, I can go Greater Gargadon, sacrifice all 5 of my things and deal 5 damage. All right, opponent recast Lotus Petal. But again, if they sack Lotus Petal, then they just die. Now, does the opponent have something that can deal with Mayhem Devil? All right, they're going to go Brain Freeze on themselves. So they have to get pretty lucky here, I think, with the hits. Okay, I see Wheel of Fortune, Remand, Grim Monolith. There's a Mox Emerald that is a painless way to do stuff. Okay. I see Ponder as well. I think opponent realizes they cannot crack this Lotus Petal or they die. So this is a really interesting dynamic we've got going on here. So opponent's a little choked on how much they can produce mana-wise, I think. Like they can just brain freeze themselves and then brain freeze me, and I think they have enough. I'm pretty sure. Also, good to note that they have Shieldred plus Wheel of Fortune. That is definitely a combo that can kill me. All right, so now they're brain freezing me for a total of 6. Oh, am I going to be 1 damage short? That's crazy. There's nothing in the graveyard I can do, right? I don't think so. So, yeah, I guess I shouldn't be letting them see the whole deck, but I'll just let them do their thing. That's fine. Man, Breach Brain Freeze is just so stupid. Like, it's so good. It's ridiculously good. Let me check. Yeah, if I Greater Gargadon, Fire Covenant does not allow me to sacrifice anything else. So, sack. Yeah, unfortunately, that's going to be it. Right, there's nothing... No, I can't Bloodghast. Yeah, if I'm drawing from an empty deck, that's not going to work. GG's. All right. So they're storming. We have to go very fast. We'll bring in the duress for sure. And I think that's it, actually. I'll just cut the grist. It's a little slow. And let's see. Flame Slash could be okay. They have some creatures. Let's run it back. Actually, another thing, I could cut the GT for Spyro just to have... Maybe I could have done that. GT for Spyro or Grease Wrench Goblin just to try to find my stuff a little faster. All right, this hand looks pretty aggressive, so we will go ahead and keep this. All right, we'll start off with Carrion Feeder and pass. Then I kind of want to go Obsessive Pursuit. Oh, they're going to duress away my Obsessive Pursuit. That's a little sad. But that's okay. So we'll go to our turn. We get another swamp. So let's go Taiga. Let's go Blood Tithe Harvester. It just hits harder, I think. Smack for 1. Goal is speed here. We just need to try to deal as much damage as possible. All right, opponent knows about these cards. So they know we have the Fetch and the Magda still. Man, Obsessive Pursuit would have actually been really sick because then Next turn, we could have gone Obsessive Pursuit, Bloodstained Mire, Crack Fetch, attack for like 6. That would have been pretty good. All right. They declined, so they liked what they saw on top. Okay, Yawgmoth, not bad. Let's go land Magda. And then plan to attack for 4 here. Fatal Push the Bloodtide Harvester. All right, I'll just sacrifice it. Get a little bit of extra damage, I guess. I mean, we're losing damage overall, but still. All right, probably going to surveil end of turn. Problem is, it's turn 3 and my opponent's still at 17, which is pretty bad when you're trying to race their inevitably very fast clock. All right, Mox Emerald from opponent. That's usually how bad things start. And Lotus Petal. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we're dead. Always fun to see that. yeah. We're probably deceased. That's okay. Let's watch our opponent have a good time. I'm here for that. Okay. They probably were just taking a while doing the math, making sure that they had lethal. Okay, Brain Freeze. The storm count's 5. Oh my god. So, yeah, I think honestly this should just be enough with the Lotus Petal. They crack it again. Yep. So then they crack Lotus Petal twice, exiling 6 cards. They Brain Freeze me and then they kill me. I think that's enough. Okay, this is currently 10 copies of Brain Freeze. So technically that's not enough, although they have enough mana to just play it again and enough cards in graveyard. So I think we are pretty much just done here. Well, let's just double check to make sure. Oh, I see. They Brain Freeze themselves a couple of times. Sure, just to make sure. Now they just cast Brain Freeze one more time with the Lotus Petal, and I think that is it. Yep. All right, that will do it. GG's opponent. All right, we're playing against PSN King Cobra for our final match. We'll go ahead and go first, and this hand looks fine. Keep. We got Obsessive Pursuit into Gut, True Soul Zealot. That seems pretty good. I think the only problem is we can't attack on turn 3, but we can attack on following turns. I'm going to start with a tap land, and then we'll go ahead and get our Obsessive Pursuit going. Tamiyo from the opponent. Ooh, Bitterbloom Bearer. I think I like that a little bit better than Obsessive Pursuit on turn 2, just because then on the next turn I can attack with Bitterbloom Bearer after playing Gut, sacrifice. Okay, Tamiyo coming in. Retrofitter Foundry, sure. And a Mox Opal. Oh man, that is really good with Tamiyo. All right. Bitterbloom Bearer. Trigger. Meathook Massacre, not bad. All right, we're going to go for it. Hopefully they don't have a counterspell. Nice. Looks like we get to actually attack. Sack Fairy. Make a 4/1. This is exactly how we dreamed it up. Turn 2 Bitterbloom Bearer into turn 3 Gut. Okay, nice. So next turn, I can go Obsessive Pursuit. Actually, I think what might be better is just go Fiery Confluence. Tinker into Portal to Phyrexia. Yep, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. I think I'm just going to go... I'm kind of forced now to just go Fiery Confluence to blow up 3 artifacts. So Portal, Mox, and Retrofitter. Right. Cool. Now they're just left with Tameo, which is still really, really good. But next turn I can go Obsessive Pursuit plus Marionette Apprentice. Okay, Moonshadow. That's not bad either. That is not bad either. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and be mana efficient. So we'll go Obsessive Pursuit, make a clue, and Marionette Apprentice, make a servo. Now next turn, I can crack the clue and see what happens. Forensic Gadgeteer. That's scary. If I draw a land, I might actually want to just Meat Hook Massacre. Okay. Oh, that's actually not bad. So let's do this. So Phyrexian Tower. Sacrifice the servo to add double black. Cast Meat Hook Massacre for X is 3. This will help to kill everything. Okay, so that means opponent takes 1, we gain 2. Then I follow it up with a Moonshadow. Okay, that worked out well. So now next turn, I can just crack a bunch of clues. Moonshadow gets in for pretty big hit. They just crack a clue. All right. So I make another clue. There's a Bayou there. Let's draw a card. Okay. Let's draw another card. Oh, that's actually pretty good. We'll go Verdant, crack it, trigger Moonshadow. And with Verdant, we will get a Swamp. And might as well just crack this last one. Okay. Attack. Put 4 counters on it and gets lifelink. That was a good turn. And next turn, of course, we have Bloodbraid Challenger. So now opponent has to deal with a 6/6 with Menace. Okay. Nethergoyf. So let's just go ahead and go for Bloodbraid Challenger here. Cascade. And this is going to be hasty. So this alone is lethal. Sure. We'll cast a Carrion Feeder. So I can always sacrifice the Carrion Feeder to itself to put the final counter on the Moonshadow. I'm trying to think what I could lose to here. They could have removal for this and then like a board wipe or something. I'm just going to go ahead and play out the Nethergoyf here. Okay, Miscalc, that's fine. That actually puts the permanent in the graveyard, which makes the Moonshadow a 7/7. That's hilarious. All right, go to combat. We'll attack with these. So the Moonshadow alone is lethal. What do you have? Aang. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Yep, that's going to happen, unfortunately. They take 4, which is wild. We'll just go Raucous Theater, put Mountain in graveyard. All right. Can't cast the Moonshadow. Spent all that time to make it formidable, and now it's not. But next turn, we're looking to have 2 lethal threats. Because I can just sack clue, sack 2 clues, and then attack with both. This becomes a 3/3 because of the obsessive pursuit. Okay, talisman, that does not seem very good. What do we got? Urza. Sure, Urza's pretty good. Okay, they can't really attack here. All right. So go to upkeep, make another clue. Oliphant. Cannot give that haste, right? I don't think so. Let's draw Fire Covenant. Okay, that should do it. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Just kill everything. All right, and that was enough. So opponent's playing a lot of artifacts. I don't really have ways to deal with artifacts with the exception of the Kolaghan's command. I think I'll bring in the Seer because of Urza. I guess I just take out Grist. And let's go and run it back. All right, this hand doesn't actually have black mana unless I get a creature, so I can't even get the Obsessive Pursuit down. Greater Gargadon into Obsessive Pursuit does sound pretty nice, though. Unfortunately, we just don't have the creatures to, you know, sack to Yawgmoth or take advantage of Jite or counters off Pursuit. I think we do better. Yeah, this looks better for sure. Let's keep this. I can put back either a land or like Yawgmoth. I can risk it a little bit. I'll put back Boseiju. I'm going to probably just surveil on turn 1. Try to hit land 3. Oh, or I hit land 3 naturally. Yeah, I'm still going to surveil because I'm going to want to Obsessive Pursuit eventually. Which, well, all of my plays require black mana. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and get the Raucous Theater. Tamiyo on turn 1, though, again from the opponent. Tamiyo can easily just solo the whole entire game. So hopefully I can just kill it soon. Jeez. Tamiyo and Mox Opal and Mana Crypt. So opponent just has 4 mana to work with. Oh, they're flipping. They're flipping the Tamiyo. Unfortunately, I do not have a Lightning Bolt for this. Yeah, a turn 2 flip Tamiyo is... that is rough. Can we get out of this? Oliphant cannot do it. Swamp is not great either. I guess we go with Blood Tithe Harvester. Yeah, this isn't looking good. So next turn I can go Obsessive Pursuit and then Crack the Blood. You know, or Crack the Blood, then play Obsessive Pursuit. And then this becomes a 4/3. I guess that's okay. I need to pressure this Tamiyo, but yeah, they're just holding this back. All right. What are we doing here? I don't have time to set up these engines. Let's sacrifice this. Moon Shadow. That's not bad. Let's go for the Obsessive Pursuit, I think. And then attack Tamiyo. it will get weaker, but then it gets a counter. Now, will my opponent block? Yes. Okay. So now, do I have a way? I have ways to pressure Tamiyo. So we'll see if I can get there. Tamiyo's a -7, so yeah, they just have to uptick one more time and then just prevent me from getting at the Tamiyo, and then I don't know, I guess that's it. Not looking great. No blockers though. Bloodghast. I like that. I do like me a Bloodghast. Kind of want to try to hit land drop. Yeah, let's draw a card. Okay, command. All right, just Moon Shadow, I guess. All right, attack Tamiyo. We get a counter on it. Whoa, they just have nothing? Oh, their hand must suck then. All right, that's good. I was fully expecting to get Tamiyo ulted this turn. Opponent may not have anything. Notably, my opponent can now hardcast a Portal to Phyrexia. Oh no, I just willed it into existence. Yep, absolutely willed it into existence. That's not good. Okay, it's fine because I have K command. All right, cool. Land is nice. So we are going to destroy artifact always, and then I think return Moon Shadow to hand. Or I can make them discard. Yeah, I'm going to return creature actually. So cast, return the Moon Shadow, kill this portal. Okay, and Moon Shadow. So next turn, if I draw a land, that would actually be really nice because I can go Carrion Feeder, Bloodghast, sack Bloodghast, land, return Bloodghast, sack again, Jadar. And then all of a sudden, this Moon Shadow is becoming huge in the meantime, which I'm really going to have to do in order to deal with this Tamiyo. Pentad Prism, that doesn't do anything. Cauldron Complete. Okay. A little annoying, but actually not bad because, yeah, the Moon Shadow can just attack past. Okay. Big draw. Land is nice. Okay. So we can go Carrion Feeder. Bloodghast. Sacrifice. Bloodghast. Trigger. Boseiju. Return. Bloodghast. We can crack this clue as well. Okay. We'll sack Bloodghast again. Trigger Moon Shadow. Now go to combat. Attack Tamiyo. So now the Obsessive Pursuit will put 3 counters on it and give it lifelink. They can't block. All right. That was a good turn. Now next turn, I mean, we have the Bloodstained Mire. We also have Yawgmoth. Oh, Yawgmoth is actually really nice here because then instead of putting counters on the Carrion Feeder, I could just draw cards if I determine that that's better. Oh, plus I can also deal with it board. Oh man, I am 100% doing the thing. This is really cool. Moon Shadow is such a cool addition to the cube. Very nice. Works out really nicely with all these sack outlets. Works with fetch lands. Oh my god, opponent played an Ugin. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little less confident now. Man, their last card was Ugin. Oh man. Yeah, makes sense that they would get rid of Moonshadow. Okay. Well, that's not good. Oh man, now I have to deal with Ugin and Tamio. They're just not making it easy for me. Okay. Losing Moonshadow was pretty bad, but it's not over for sure. Okay, Marionette Apprentice too. That's pretty good. So let's go Yawgmoth. Play land drop. Get Bloodghast back. Yes. We're going to kill off the pilot token. Draw a card. All right. Let's fetch up I suppose, a Bayou. Trigger. Yes. We'll go Marionette Apprentice. Make a Servo. Sack Bloodghast. Shrink the Germ. There's a Seer. Seer can actually deal with planeswalkers, which is nice. I don't really have other plays. This thing has Indestructible. When this creature deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. So I don't really actually even have a good attack right now, which is super unfortunate because I don't have enough to shrink down the germ completely. So I think I might just have to pass here. I mean, I could get it down to... I think I'm just going to have to wait until next turn, unfortunately, which is very rough. Opponent also has all the mana in the world. This Shorkai is going to get them so much card advantage. I mean, it already did. Now I have both of these planeswalkers to worry about. If either of them ults, it's pretty much over. Like, I'm assuming they have much more colorless cards. Oh yeah, and any colorless card just will invalidate my engines. They can just exile any of my cards. Okay, Ugin is now in ult range next turn. Yeah, Retrofitter Foundry on Yawgmoth. That's unfortunate. I think I'm just going to sack it to the Carrion Feeder. Wow, they have so much mana that Retrofitter Foundry is just going to do a little too much, I think. And my opponent's light total is just way too high because of the Tamio. Okay, I'll sack this to itself, just so I can get a trigger off of the Marionette Apprentice, but I don't think it matters. Soul Guide Lantern is going to come down. Exile Bloodghast for sure. Or Yawgmoth, I guess. Yeah, I think opponent's doing a little too much stuff here. So I think I'm going to just probably go ahead and go to game 3. I'll take a draw step, but it's not looking good. Wow, and Urza. Jeez. Yeah, this is not looking good. All right, big draw step. I don't really know what gets me out of this. Probably not a land. I guess I can draw a couple cards with clues. Yeah, my opponent's life total is just a little too high. Flame Slash is something, I guess. Draw again. Meat Hook Massacre is interesting. I think, honestly, for the interest of time, I think I'm just going to go ahead and scoop it up. Like, I really can't deal with everything that my opponent's got going on. All right. Anything that I want to do? I guess Cut Down does technically hit Urza and Tameo. Yeah, that's actually a good reason to run this. Probably just going to get rid of the... Obsessive Pursuit's really... Obsessive Pursuit's really good. Maybe it's not necessary, though. Duress for Tinker, I suppose, could be a thing. Maybe I just don't need this. I think I like everything else. Yeah, let's just go ahead and keep this. I mean, Kolagon's Command is going to have to pull a lot of weight here, as well as the Fiery Confluence. Because we saw in the previous game that was really good. All right, Jadar into Gut is a really nice curve. So I'm going to go ahead and keep. Technically, we have the 3 lands as well, but the not having double black is super awkward here. At least we get to go Jadar into Gut, and that's going to be nice. Okay, Bauble here. They're deciding whether or not they want to fetch on my turn or their turn. Always love the fetch Bauble trick. Ooh, Mayhem Devil. That's good. All right, let's go Jadar. So, yeah, this is going to be really nice. So we go Gut first, I think. Attack for like 5. And then on the following turn, we have the Mayhem Devil. Pretty good. If opponent can't deal with this, we're in great shape. This is Mana Crypt Urza. Forensic Gadgeteer. That's scary. This can easily go infinite, but I'm just going to have to hope they don't have it. All right, we're going to go land into Gut. Attack here. Trigger. We're going to sack the zombie, make a 4/1. They can't block. They go to 15. And then I make another 2/2. So now next turn I can go... Hopefully I draw a Swamp and I can go Yawgmoth. But probably just Mayhem Devil. Might start at Weak Stone. Okay. I assume this kills Gut. Yep. Okay, so I drew Magda for turn. Basasia would be nice as a potential way to kill something. Magda can help with that by creating a treasure token, which I can use for Baseju. It's actually the Mayhem Devil isn't really doing anything at this time. I think we're going to do this. We're going to get in with the skeleton and the zombie. Yep, they're going to block there, of course. I'm going to just play Magda out. I was hoping opponent would lose that mana crypt flip. So next turn, we're going to have hopefully a Magda Treasure, which then we can use Mayhem Devil to sack and do extra damage. Also, if opponent's going to be making all these clues and maybe their hand's not so good, then if they flip the clues, the Mayhem Devil will ping. That's a Jace. Jace going to take care of the 4-1, which is unfortunate. Tameo. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, this is not good. All right. Big draw. Sephiroth. Sephiroth is cool. I do like that. Okay, I think we're always playing this out now as a land. So if I swing out, make a treasure, I can go Meat Hook Massacre, deal a lot of damage to opponent, which could be enough to kill them, potentially with this Mana Crypt. Or I can just go Sephiroth. It's probably better than Mayhem Devil at this point. I need to just focus all my energy on my opponent. All right, let's go Sephiroth. Okay, and then we can sacrifice the zombie. All right. We have a Verdant Catacombs now, which is good. No attacks. We'll just make another 2/2. Hopefully they lose the flip here. Win another flip. So now opponent may need to... I guess they're always going to draw 3 cards and then flip Tameo. The scary part is my opponent could just find lethal here. Or find like an infinite combo. Okay, 2 Planeswalkers. Both pretty good. Tameo always upticks. Okay, I think opponent's searching. I think we're going to be okay. Soul Guide Lantern's not amazing, although it is a way to get a cheap clue token. Opponent also has a ton of mana too, so they can just keep churning through these cards, which I don't like. Yeah, Talisman equals a clue. Only 2 cards now. Right, if I could just make it to my next turn, and then I go Mayhem Devil, that's a ton of ping damage. In fact, I don't even know if my opponent can get out of it necessarily. Ooh, okay. I think we're good. Go to our turn. Fire Covenant's not bad. Okay, land. Okay, let's see if Mayhem Devil resolves. Does it hit? This is huge. And I'm just going to ignore all my opponent's Planeswalkers and just kill them. Okay, they're going to crack Soul Guide Lantern to draw. That makes sense. All right, it hit. That is really good. Okay, let's go to combat. Attack them with everything. We're going to get a ton of triggers. Okay, my board is weaker. Decay trigger. Make a treasure. I will sacrifice the Jadar because it's a 0/1, which will ping opponent for a couple points. I drew a Taiga. Let's see. They block here. They take 2. Let's crack this fetch now. Okay, land. Now, do I want to Fire Covenant or do I want to Meathook Massacre? I think the answer is, let's see if this is just going to be lethal. Also, ping them again. Fire Covenant, the Forensic Gadgeteer for 3. All right, and if they don't have a counter spell, or even if they, technically this is just lethal. Okay, nice. Yeah, we definitely were doing the thing. All right, so there we go. Honorable 2-1. Got the 100 play points. Always nice when that happens. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the deck. This deck was very, very sick. I was doing the sacrifice thing, and we just lost round 2 to a pretty good version of the Storm deck. Some brain freeze breach action, which I can always appreciate. But we got the sack outlets with Carrion Feeder and Yawgmoth and Greater Gargadon, and then payoffs like Meathook Massacre, Marionette Apprentice, Sephiroth. And we had a lot of enablers that made a bunch of bodies to sacrifice, like Jadar, Obsessive Pursuit, and Bitterbloom Bear. Bloodghast was also pretty good. GT won us a couple of games because GT is just, really strong. But overall, I thought this deck was a lot of fun, and really hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you guys for the next one. Thanks.